Businesses, personal computing, and leadership in intelligent cloud space. Those are the three main focus plans for Microsoft India, says President Anant Maheshwari. In his first television interview, Microsoft India President lays out the growth roadmap for the company. Here's an excerpt.
Overall for Microsoft India, without specifically going into any of those numbers, I think we are definitely seeing growing at above industry rates in India. I definitely...
Is that the NASSCOM industry rate?
I would not call out on one aspect there because I think we have the ability to play in multiple segments. We are not focused in just one segment, which some of our peers may be. So as I said, the three bold ambitions of the company globally are to reinvent business and the productivity processes that companies may have. It is to completely think about more personal computing and not just computers or other form factors that people may be computing today, but more personal computing broadly. And third is being the leader of the intelligent cloud. So if you look at those three bold ambitions, we are playing in very, very different spaces. And the blend of those is what we see really playing out for many of our customers and partners. And that's where I think the momentum is coming for Microsoft, because we do provide an end-to-end solution that is flexible, that is scalable, and it's hyper secure.
You know, speaking of one of the big levers that you hope to leverage on, and that is the sort of SMB space here in India, which everybody is going after, post the 8th November notification and this move towards a cashless India and so on and so forth. What has been the impact that you've seen on the ground?
So I would say in the beginning, which is very, very short term right now, we're only 2 months from that point in time, there was a lot of reaction in the market because there was a certain way of doing business that had to change. I think over the last few weeks, we've really seen the ability, both in our partner ecosystem and the customer ecosystem, to think even more bold and different in terms of how they would do things going forward. Now, as I was saying earlier, there could be 4 use cases of starting that journey. As they go forward in this journey in digital transformation, very likely they're likely to think about 3 big areas to scale. One is just the hyperscale of computing. Second is security. Very, very important in this world because the levels of security and what can go wrong is we are recognizing today across the world. And third is flexibility. Today, I think Microsoft is uniquely positioned in India, not just globally, in India, to have our own data centers, to have our own cybersecurity engagement center, one of 7 globally that's in India, working closely with the Indian government and large enterprises. And also the only one to be able to offer either a public cloud or a private cloud or a flexible cloud, which is the hybrid cloud. Also thinking in terms of the kind of solutions that people may offer in different parts of their own IT architecture. So we are kind of in a unique place of really thinking it end to end with lots of choices.
Any more India-based investments? I mean, we're seeing this trend of a lot of people investing money in startups in India. You've, of course, been nurturing that ecosystem through Microsoft and the Accelerator program and so on and so forth. But anything interesting that we could expect in the year ahead?
So you mentioned the Accelerator. I would just like to reiterate that point first. I think it's been a tremendously successful initiative for us in India. Going forward, I think in terms of the other areas that we may potentially look at, we're continuously looking in terms of what we can do differently in different spaces that we operate in. And it's not just about thinking about equity as a model. I think it's about many different forms of investment. Our data centers was a classical example. The cybersecurity engagement center is a big example of what we've done in terms of investments in the country, because the country needs it. And we'll continue to do that as we go along. There are a lot of initiatives in play already.
So what can we expect then in terms of investments? In terms of hiring more in India, in terms of new initiatives in 2017? So
those are, I think, acceleration of either whether it's investments or hiring. I think that I would not say is game changing in the way you might be asking me the question. When it comes to the specific growth initiatives that we're driving, you'll see us do a lot more on the cloud in India, because I think we are also seeing that traction in the different parts of the ecosystem. I think initially over the last year or so, there were a lot of pilots. People were experimenting it. I'll give you an example of a CEO that I just met a few months back. And he was saying 15 months back, sitting with his leadership team, he was making a 3 to 5 year business plan of what they might do. 12 months down the line, they've already done a lot of the stuff that they'd planned 3 to 5 years out. I think that's the pace. That is changing across the different parts of the ecosystem, and we are happy to support that change. So I would say 2017 is still a long period. In this industry, it is really 3 to 6 months that one should think about.
So you've stopped drawing up 5-year plans.
Oh yeah, in my previous sort of genre and the company that I was in, we had to think long term given the industries that we are operating in. Here I think the long term is important, but how you continue to perform in the short to medium term completely changes the landscape also. So the innovation is much faster in this landscape.
All right, time now for a quick break, but coming up next.